chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead, they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. The Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all. For generations, your family, the Kuzlans, has stewarded the lands of Highever, earning the loyalty of your people with justice and temperance. When your country was occupied by the Arlesian Empire, your father and grandfather served the embattled kings of your land. Today, your elder brother takes up House Kuzlan's banner in service to the crown, not against the men of Orlais, but against the bestial Darkspawn rising in the south.
I trust then that your troops will be here shortly.
I expect they will start arriving tonight, and we can march tomorrow. I apologize for the delay, my lord. This is entirely my fault.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn in the south has us all scrambling, doesn't it? I only received the call from the king a few days ago myself. I'll send my eldest off with my men. You and I will ride tomorrow just like the old days.
True. Though we both had less grey in our hair then. And we fought Orlesians, not monsters.
At least the smell will be the same. I'm sorry, Pop, I didn't see you there. How? You remember my daughter?
I see she's become a lovely young woman. Pleased to see you again, my dear. Oh no, I left them in Amaranthine, well away from the fighting in the south. They do send their best wishes. My son Thomas asked after you. Perhaps I should bring him with me next time. Ha! To what end? She says. So glib, too. She's just like her mother when she talks like that.
See what I contend with, Hal? There is no telling my fierce girl anything these days. Make her bless her heart.
Quite talented, I'm sure. One to watch.
At any rate, Pup, I summoned you for a reason. While your brother and I are both away, I'm leaving you in charge of the castle. Now, that's what I'd like to hear. Only a token force is remaining here, and you must keep peace in the region. You know what they say about mice when the cat is away, yes? There's also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan in.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Tyrn Cousland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup, Brother Aldous taught you who the Grey Wardens are, I hope. I apologize, Duncan. That Aldous has nerve teaching my children such slanderous nonsense.
I take no offense. The Grey Wardens are not what we once were.
I'll not have the Warden spoken ill of in my household. Without them, the Darkspawn would have killed us all in the first blight. You are the only reason men still live in Thedas. Duncan is looking for recruits before joining us and his fellow Wardens in the south. I believe he's got his eye on Sir Gilmore.
If I might be so bold, I would suggest that your daughter is also an excellent candidate.
Honor though that might be, this is my daughter we're talking about. Do you hear that, Duncan? My daughter is not interested. So unless you intend to invoke the right of conscription...
Have no fear. While we need as many good recruits as we can find, I've no intention of forcing the issue.
Pup, can you ensure that Duncan's requests are seen to while I'm gone? In the meantime, find Fergus, and tell him to lead the troops to Ostagar ahead of me. We'll talk before I leave tomorrow. We must discuss the battle plans in the south. Be a good lass and do as I've asked. We'll talk soon.
Yes? We fought together under King Maric when he drove the Orlesians out of Ferelden. Heady times. The years since have not held the same promise. It's not something a youth would understand. It will be good to ride beside your father again. Your father hasn't spoken of our time with him? That man took care of his friends. As they say, he was large as life and twice as tall. It's too bad Kalen isn't half that. I think of him as much as he thinks at all.
That's enough, Hal. You speak of our king.
The girl did ask, your lordship, as per the latitude you allow. I merely offered my opinion. Poor weather, I believe. Their progress has been slow, but it's nothing you need worry about. In a manner of speaking, if I had reinforced our border levies earlier, my troops could have left before the rains. I confess, my confidence in your father allowed me some complacency. I guess that makes it as much his fault. The topic has come up from time to time. The young and their infatuations. I'm sure that was years ago. People change. To be honest, I have no expectations. And your father seems determined to let you find your own way. If something did happen, well, we'd address it as befits a family of our stature. I'm sure there will be much to discuss once I return. I Thank you. That is quite unnecessary.
I'm sorry, but I believe your father wishes to talk to the Arl and myself alone. Very well. I doubt your father would mind a slight delay. Indeed. We spotted a horde assembling in the Korkari Wilds not 3 weeks ago. Luckily, King Kaelan took us at our word and marshaled Ferelden's forces quickly. The first battles have already been fought. Your father and I must move quickly. Thousands. Perhaps 10,000 or more in this horde. Normally the Darkspawn stay in the deep roads. It bodes ill that so many risk the surface. Well, I understand the first battles have gone easily.
Indeed. Are the Grey Wardens sure this is a blight, and not simply some large Darkspawn raid?
No archdemon has been sighted yet, my lord. But with my entire soul, I believe this is a blight.
I wish we shared your faith. I suppose we shall see for ourselves once we arrive at the King's camp.
I have only found a couple of worthy candidates in my travels across Ferelden. Your father invited me here, suggesting this Sir Gilmore. If he is not suitable, I will head south and join up with the king. Not well. King Kaelan is an eager young man who has shown great wisdom in responding to the Darkspawn threat.
I've heard he is a bit enraptured with the Grey Warden legend, and that is why he caters to your order.
How? That is unworthy of you.
He only repeats what we've all heard. Whatever the king's reasons, I'll take his support. The priority is defeating the Darkspawn before they threaten all of Ferelden. Until we speak again.
There you are. Your mother told me the Terran had summoned you, so I didn't want to interrupt. Pardon my abruptness, my lady. It's simply that I've been looking everywhere for you. I fear your hound has the kitchens in uproar once again, and is threatening to leave. Your mother disagrees. She insists you collect the dog, and quickly. You know these Mabari hounds. He'll listen to his mistress, but anyone else risks having an arm bitten off. I'm not willing to test that. You're quite lucky to have your own Mabari warhound, you know. Smart enough not to talk, my father used to say. Of course, that means he's easily bored. Nan swears he confounds her just to amuse himself. At any rate, your mother would have me accompany you until the matter is settled, shall we? She was entertaining Lady Landra and her son when I left her. Perhaps in the atrium? Before we go, my lady, might I beg a question? I've heard from several people that a Grey Warden is here. Is that true? Then, is it also true that this Grey Warden was asking after me? Maker's breath, are you certain? Can you imagine me, a Grey Warden? It would be everything I've dreamed of. Of course, I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Pardon my outburst.
Maker, prepare a place for us. Redeem our world from sin. Forgive our transgressions.
Maker, forgive us all!
Have you come to pray for your brother and father? I'd be happy to ask for the Maker's blessings with you. Please, child, call me Malol. I've known you since you were a wee babe after all. Creator of the sky, the land, and the sea. Hear your people in our time of need. Let no man have cause to fear the shadows. Let their souls be lifted upon your return. So let it be. There now. I'll be keeping a vigil tonight. You're welcome to come. There are many more who must receive the Maker's blessings before they leave. If you would excuse me. I cannot. Many await my attendance before they march into the unknown. We shall talk once the soldiers have departed.
Oh, my lady, we were just, Well, the treasury's safe. I'm not even sure why the Terran stationed us here. We appreciate that, my lady. Thank you.
Hello, my dear girl. By chance, I am beginning to teach these young squires about your family's history.
Do we have to? History is boring.
Boys, you are referring to the Couslands, the very family in whose castle you live. Show some respect. I see you haven't changed. Perhaps it would benefit you to join our lesson. Perhaps you could make the topic more palatable for these lads and their minuscule intellects. Wonderful. Oh, the Cousland history is long indeed. Where shall we start? Well, I'm glad some of my lessons don't disappear into that yawning chasm between your ears, young lady. A pity you don't spend the same care whetting the edge of your mind as your tongue. At any rate, your family has held the tournure of High-Ever since before King Calenhad united Ferelden. In fact, Tierna Elethea Cousland battled Calenhad to maintain High-Ever's independence. Well, the Couslands are ardent royalists now, but at that time, Calenhad was unknown and considered dangerous by many. When Calenhad's army reached High-Ever, Tierna Elethea led the local bands against him. Obviously, Calenhad won. Calenhad wished to unite Ferelden, not conquer it. After Elethea's men were defeated, Calenhad asked her to swear fealty. The boulder where they held council still stands today as a memorial of that event. Well, records are vague, but the Couslands became Tierns during the Black Age. Is that familiar, child? Good. I'm pleased some of my lessons seem to have stuck. At that time, your family held only the minor title of Ban. When the werewolves reached this area, Ban Mather Cousland organized a curfew and patrols within the city. Several other local bands supported his efforts by swearing oaths of fealty, making him their Tiern. The history between the Couslands and the House reaches back to the Orlesian occupation. During your grandfather's rule, of course, Orlais found it difficult to hold these lands. During the rebellion against Orlais, several battles were fought near High-Ever. The port village of Harper's Ford was the tourneur's center. Its Jarl was Tarleton Howe. Though nearly 90, he was still as sharp and bitter as cheap ale. Your grandfather openly supported the rebellion, but Howe sided with Orlais. Your family was forced to seize Harper's Ford before it was all over. The Howes eventually joined the rebellion, when all of Ferelden united behind King Merrick and General Loghain, just as now we united behind Merrick's son, King Cailan, to fight the Darkspawn. Thank you for indulging an old man.
Does that mean we have to listen to you now?
Silence! I will not have you two becoming smart-mouthed hooligans. Perhaps you should go. I doubt they need any more distraction. I'm just going to settle in here and apparently just talk to myself for all the good I'm doing. Damn, that's myself all this while you do this.
Get that bloody mutt out of the larder.
But mistress, it won't let us near.
If I can't get into that larder, I'll skin both of you useless elves, I swear it.
Calm down, good woman. We've come to help.
You and you! Your bloody mongrel keeps getting into my larder. That beast should be put down. A blight wolf is what he is. How am I supposed to work like this?
Oh dear. Mistress, calm down, please.
That's it. I'll quit. Inform the turner. I'll go and cook at some nice estate in the Banorn.
Nan, please. We'll get the dog. Calm down.
Just get him gone. I've enough to worry about with a castle full of hungry soldiers. You two, stop standing there like idiots. Get out of the way. Why are you talking to me, young lady? That wretched creature is likely eating my beautiful roast as we speak. How in the blazes am I supposed to know? He up and walked through the wall, I expect. That hound isn't natural. I see it in his eyes. He does this on purpose, just to torment me.
On it.
Oh, look at that mess. How did he even get in here? Oh, encourage the hound, why don't you? No wonder he keeps giving Nan fits. He does seem like he's trying to tell you something. Wait, do you hear that?
That'd make an interesting pet. Let's get started. Right. Let's get started.
Giant rats? It's like the start of every bad adventure tale my grandfather used to tell. Your hound must have chased them in through their holes. Looks like he wasn't raiding the larder after all. I've seen larger. They come up from the Kakari wilds sometimes. But seeing as you've got your Mabari well in hand, I'll be on my way. I'm to prepare for the arrival of more of the Isle's men.
There he is, as brazen as you please, licking his chops after helping himself to the roast, no doubt.
What? Rats? Not the large grey ones.
They'll rip you to shreds, they will!
See, now you've gone and scared the servants. I expect those filthy things are dead. Oh, I bet that dog led those rats into there to begin with. Oh, don't even start with the sad eyes. I'm immune to your so-called charms. Here then, take these pork bits and don't say that Nan never gives you anything. Bloody dog. Thank you, my lady. Now we can get to work. That's right, you two. Quit standing about. Thank you again for your help. Now, if you'll just hold on a moment. Yes? Adney, get moving with those casts. And Kath, do you think you can serve that to the turn with dirt from the floor all over it?
Miserable old bat.
Old bat, am I? We've got to work double time on supper, sweep out the hearths, and no complaining. Just keeping order. That's why your father keeps me on. The good maker knows I needn't take care of you anymore. Thank you for coming to your old nanny's rescue. That blasted hound is more trouble than he's worth. He is. And don't start with me. You've gotten all you're getting today. But what about you, my lady? Been keeping safe and well behaved, I hope? To be truly good is doing right by others even when it doesn't suit you. Do you remember that bedtime tale I used to tell you? The dog that bit? Good. Then you can start. A warhound was born to the elder bitch of a tribal chief. They named him Hahaku and gave him everything. He grew up a fine, strong pup, destined to be the partner of the chief's eldest son. The young hound became arrogant, taking food from his kin and warning them, in the way of dogs, that the chief's family would punish them if they tried to attack him. Years passed, and the time for the chief's son to take a warhound came closer. Hahaku's pride swelled, and many of the people of the tribe came to the chief, quietly whispering of this dog's bullying. With each complaint, the chief saw only Hahaku's strength and pride, and sent his people away. But as his son grew, the chief watched more closely. The day might come when his boy's life would depend on this dog. If the humblest of his people would not trust Hahaku, how could he? There are many kinds of weakness. You'd do well to remember that. When the day came, Hahaku sat proudly waiting to be called, but the old chief chose Hahaku's brother as his son's hound. Hahaku was shamed, but felt no remorse. So great was his rage that he darted across the fire pit and bit the chief's hand. No, an impulsive and prideful one. The chief and his son struck at Hahaku, cursing him. The hound ran into the village, seeking shelter in the tents and kennels. The other dogs snapped at him, and the tribe's people threw stones at him. Before the chief could reach him, the tribe had torn Hahaku apart. Now, what should you carry from this tale? Precisely. The tribe and their dogs granted the chief and his dogs their authority. When they saw that Hahaku was unworthy, they turned on him. But you're far too old now for an old woman to be reminding you to watch how you behave, hmm? It's a story worth repeating. That's all. Be off with you then. Tell your brother farewell before he rides off to war.
And my dear Bryce bought this back from Orlais last year. The Marquis who gave it to him was drunk, I understand, and mistook Bryce for the king. Ah, here is my lovely daughter. I take it by the presence of that troublesome hound of yours that the situation in the kitchen is handled? Well, at least one of us will have had a decent dinner. Perhaps your hound left something I can feed my guests. Darling, you remember Lady Landra, Ban Lawrence's wife?
I think we last met at your mother's spring salon. You're too kind, dear girl. Didn't I spend half the salon trying to convince you to marry my son?
And made a very poor case for it, I might add.
You remember my son, Dyron. He's not married yet either.
Don't listen to her. It's good to see you again, milady. You're looking as beautiful as ever.
And this is my lady-in-waiting, Iona. Do say something, dear.
It is a great pleasure, my lady. You are as pretty as your mother describes.
You would think that it would make it easier to make a match for her, not more difficult.
Perhaps your daughter simply has a mind of her own, your ladyship. You should be proud.
Proud doesn't get me any more grandchildren. All evidence to the contrary.
I think perhaps I shall rest now, my dear. Dyron, I will see you and Iona at supper.
Perhaps we'll retire to the study for now.
Good evening, your ladyship.
You should say goodbye to Fergus while you have the chance. Yes, your father mentioned that. You haven't got it into your head that you want to be recruited. Keep it that way. You've enough to do here at the castle without chasing Darkspawn. If he's not out with his men, probably upstairs with Oriana. As do I. Your father and brother are marching off to fight Maker knows what. All the assurances in the world don't comfort me, but it wouldn't help for us to take up arms and follow. Fergus and your father have their duty and we have ours. For a few days. Then I'll travel with Lady Landra to her estate and keep her company for a time. Your father thinks my presence here might undermine your authority. Don't worry, my dear. It won't be long. I love you, my darling girl. You know that, don't you? Go do what you must, then. I will see you soon.
Bring me back a sword?
That sword, Oren. And I'll get you the mightiest one I can find, I promise. I'll be back before you know it.
I wish victory was indeed so certain. My heart is disquiet.
Don't frighten the boy, love. I speak the truth. And here's my little sister to see me off. Now dry your eyes, love, and wish me well.
He is as mortal as anyone, despite his refusal to believe.
Now, love, no need to be grim. If it's any consolation, I'm sure I'll freeze in the southern rain and be completely jealous of you up here, warm and safe.
I am positively thrilled that you will be so miserable, husband.
Word from the south is that the battles have gone well. There's no evidence that this is a true blight, just a large raid.
Could that be true?
I'll see for myself soon enough. Pray for me, love, and I'll be back within a month or two.
Really? Was he riding a griffin?
Shh, Oren. Griffins only exist in stories now.
I'd heard that. Did he say why he's come? Good for him. I hope he makes it. If I were a Grey Warden, though, I'd have my eye on you. Not that Father would ever allow it. Then the Owl's men are delayed. You'd think his men were all walking backwards. Well, I'd better get underway. So many Darkspawn to behead, so little time. Off we go then. I'll see you soon, my love.
I would hope, dear boy, that you plan to wait for us before taking your leave.
Be well, my son. I will pray for your safety every day you are gone.
The Maker sustain and preserve us all. Watch over our sons, husbands and fathers, and bring them safely back to us.
And bring us some ale and wenches while you're at it. For the men, of course.
Fergus, you would say this in front of your mother?
What's a wench? Is that what you pull on to get the bucket out of the well?
A wench is a woman that pours the ale in a tavern, Oren. Or a woman who drinks a lot of ale.
Bryce, Maker's breath. It's like living with a pair of small boys. Thankfully, I have a daughter.
I'll miss you, mother dear. You'll take care of her, sister, won't you? It's true. They should be sending her, not me. She would scold those Darkspawn back into the deep roads.
Well, I'm glad you find this so funny.
Enough, enough. Pup, you'll want to get an early night. You've much to do tomorrow.
Mama says you're going to be watching over us while Papa is gone. Is that true, Auntie? What if the castle is attacked? Will there be dragons?
Dragons are terrible creatures, Oren. They eat people.
Yeah, I want to see one.
This is your influence, Fergus.
What? I didn't say anything.
Are you going to teach me to use a sword, Auntie? Then I can fight evil too. Take that, dire bunny! Oh, Darkspawn, fear my sword of truthiness.
We're teaching him about honesty.
Don't worry, son. You'll get to see a sword up close real soon, I promise.
If you should need any assistance in the coming days, I would be glad to offer it.
Getting sent to bed early, are we? A warm bed doesn't sound so bad now, come to think of it. At any rate, I'll miss you. Take care of everyone, and be here when I get back.
Help me! The castle is under attack!
Right.
Where is the Cairn? Tell us!
Is that all you got?
Darling, I heard fighting outside and I feared the worst. Are you hurt? They never got through the door, thanks to you. A scream woke me up. There were men in the hall, so I barred the door. Did you see their shields? Those are Howl's men. Why would they attack us? You don't think Howl's men were delayed? On purpose? That bastard. I'll cut his lying throat myself. Have you seen your father? He never came to bed. We must find him. And trust his mercy. What if the soldiers went into your brother's room first? Let's check on them quickly. Then we'll look for Bryce downstairs.
Right.
No! My little Oren! What manner of fiend slaughters innocents? Oh, I'll remember this day when Hal dies screaming like the dog he is. Oh, poor Fergus. Let's go, I don't want to see this.